Welcome back to TLDR's daily briefing for Wednesday the 7th of May 2025. In today's episode, we cover India's strikes on Pakistan, the UK-EU youth mobility deal, and the election of the next pope. But first, a ceasefire between Yemen's Houthis and the US. Yesterday, during a White House press appearance with the Canadian Prime Minister, Donald Trump announced that, after weeks of conflict, the US will halt its bombing campaign against the Houthis after the Iran-aligned group agreed to stop targeting shipping in the Red Sea. Shortly after Trump's comments, Oman's foreign minister posted that the US and the Houthis had agreed a ceasefire deal, mediated by Oman, under which neither side would attack the other, ensuring freedom of navigation and the smooth flow of international commercial shipping. The Trump administration launched its operation in mid-March, the most intense US bombing campaign in a decade. Trump insisted that the military operation against the Houthis was to restore navigational freedom to the region's water. But Trump also used it to send a warning to Iran ahead of talks on its nuclear program, saying he would hold Tehran responsible for every shot fired by the rebels, and that the Islamic Republic would face dire consequences for any attacks by the militants. In the weeks since, the US military says it has been operating 24/7 against the rebels, hitting nearly 1,000 Houthi targets, which has left 300 people dead. There was no official comment from the Houthis following the ceasefire announcement, but the rebels' political leader signaled that they will continue their attacks on Israel, which began in response to Israel's attack on Gaza. Yesterday, Israeli strikes also significantly destroyed parts of Yemen's main airport in the capital Sana'a, which targeted 3 civilian planes, the departure hall, the runway, and a military airbase. Israel's strikes came only a few days after the Houthis fired a missile that landed near Israel's main airport, forcing it to close briefly. The Houthis said at least 3 people had been killed in yesterday's strike, and said they would respond by imposing a comprehensive aerial blockade on Israel by targeting airports. Meanwhile, less than 24 hours after Israel's announcement to expand their military operations in Gaza, an Israeli strike on a school compound housing displaced people in central Gaza killed at least 20 people, according to officials at the nearby Al-Aqsa Martyrs Hospital. With the Houthis vowing to respond to Israel's recent announcement that plans have been approved to conquer Gaza and to relocate Gaza's population, regional tensions continue to soar, and the UN's Special Envoy for Yemen called the recent exchange of strikes between Israel and Yemen a grave escalation in an already fragile and volatile regional context. You're listening to TLDR's Daily Briefing. If you want more explainers on what's happening in the world, then you should check out TLDR's other channels. Today, we released videos on whether the EU could join the CPTPP, the end of the Tories, and an in-depth analysis of the escalating tensions between India and Pakistan. You can find those videos linked in the description or show notes for this episode, or by searching for TLDR on YouTube or Nebula. India has launched missile strikes against Pakistan and Pakistan-controlled Kashmir, a significant escalation of tensions between the two neighbours. In response, Pakistan claims to have shot down Indian fighter jets and has fired shells across the de facto border in the disputed Kashmir region. It comes 2 weeks after a militant attack in Indian-administered Kashmir that killed 26 people, which India claims was backed by Pakistan. India's defence ministry said the strikes, named Operation Sindoor, are part of an attempt to hold those responsible for the attack accountable. Meanwhile, Pakistan has described the move as an act of war. For a deeper understanding of the two countries' relationship and an explanation of what the latest strikes mean, you can watch the full video we've just released over on the TLDR Global channel. The UK's European Relations Minister, Nick Thomas-Symonds, has confirmed that the UK is looking at setting up a youth mobility scheme with the EU, to be launched at a key summit between the two sides on the 19th of May. The deal would likely allow young adults from the UK to live and work in the EU for several years, and vice versa. Speaking to the Financial Times on Tuesday, Thomas-Symonds said, "A smart, controlled youth mobility scheme would of course have benefits for our young people. Ministers have also indicated that any such scheme would be subject to a cap on numbers and a time limit." It ends months of speculation about a potential youth mobility deal, with both Thomas-Symonds and UK Prime Minister Keir Starmer having previously ruled it out. And finally, a religious election began today in the Vatican City for the next leader of the Catholic Church, the Pope. At 3 p.m. this afternoon, mobile phone signal was deactivated in the city, as 133 cardinals were sequestered from the outside world for the duration of the electoral process. They then proceeded to the Sistine Chapel, where voting is now underway. Only one round of voting is expected today, with the news of whether or not a new pope has been elected to be revealed around 7 p.m. this evening. If white smoke comes out of the chapel's chimney, no pope has been chosen. But if black smoke comes out, a decision has been made. It's unlikely that a new pope will be chosen today, though, as candidates require a 2/3 majority to be elected. This means that the early rounds of voting are used to indicate the most popular candidates, with cardinals then narrowing down their choices as the process continues. If no candidate is elected today, the cardinals will return tomorrow morning, switching to 4 rounds of voting a day until the new pope is elected. That's all for today. We'll be back with you tomorrow, so make sure you're subscribed wherever you listen. In the meantime, you can check out the latest episode of our podcast, The World Leader Leaderboard, where we discuss which heads of government are doing well and who's doing badly every week. You can find the link in the podcast description. This was a TLDR news production, hosted by Georgina Findlay, written by Nadja Lovadinov and Georgina Findlay, and produced by Scarlett Watchorn. Thanks for listening, and we'll be back again tomorrow.